Welcome back to Wall Again, where passion meets music, and we are continuing our countdown of the top 100 classic rock albums of all time as per Classic Rock magazine. So today we're on number 96, and it's the debut album by the progressive rock supergroup Asia. And the name of the album is obviously Asia as well, as a lot of bands did back at those times. So they are based in England, and as I said, they're a supergroup made up of John Wetton, who played bass and also sang the vocals. Now, John had been involved in a lot of progressive rock projects throughout the 1970s and 1980s, including a stint in King Crimson where he recorded that classic album Red. So yeah, I think John Wetton's a fantastic musician and great vocalist. They also have Jeff Downes on keyboards and Steve Howe on guitar. And Jeff and Steve, of course, both came from Yes, so they were already superstars by the time this album was released. But they decided to collaborate with some other classic prog musicians on this album. And then on drums, it's of course Carl Palmer from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So he was not exactly overjoyed with what was happening in ELP at the time. And when they parted ways, he joined this project here. And yeah, it's an absolute prog rock supergroup. Fantastic. And this one was released in 1982 through Geffen Records. And it was recorded at the Townhouse Studios in London, and the producer for this one was Mike Stone. It's a fantastically produced album, I have to say, very clinical, very well mixed and balanced, and throughout the whole album there's no low points in terms of the production, although there's some songs that I prefer more than others. I have to say the production is to a really high standard on this album. The genre, well, I suppose it's considered prog rock because of the people that are in the band, but it did have a couple of crossover hits. So probably Asia's most famous song is Heat of the Moment. Of course, that's still played on rock radio, classic rock radio to this very day. You'd even hear it in movies and stuff like that. So that was definitely a crossover track for the band. And there's another song, Only Time Will Tell. It was another big hit for the band on the album. So those two songs are actually the first two songs on the album. And I think they're probably the weakest songs. Even though they were crossover hits, I just don't think they captured the essence of this band. In my opinion, it's everything that follows that really captures what Asia are all about. So I'm talking about songs like Time Again, which is an absolute classic, a brilliant prog rock song, and plenty to keep your interest in that one. We've also got Soul Survivor, which is another brilliant track off this album, and of course Wildest Dreams. So they were just three of my absolute standout tracks on this album. I have to say, the guitar playing on this album is phenomenal from Steve Howe. He really lets loose. He's got fantastic riffs, arpeggios, guitar solos throughout the whole album, and it really brings this album to life. Jeff Downes is also a bit freer when he's not in Yes, and his playing on this one is phenomenal from top to bottom. As I mentioned, John Wetton, he's a fantastic vocalist, also a fantastic bassist. He's got a really nice, sweet voice, and I think it just sits in perfectly in this lineup in Asia. And then of course Carl Palmer on drums, one of the best progressive rock drummers of all time. And you know, of course he cut his teeth with Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and he really became a household name because of that band. But I think in Asia he's phenomenal, and he really contributes a lot to this band. So overall, this debut album from Asia, released in 1982, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's an absolutely fantastic album. I don't actually own it yet, but I plan to change that in the next few months. It's definitely one I'll pick up if I see somewhere around and it's decently priced. I'll definitely pick that one up because it's a fantastic album. The first two songs, as I said, I think they just let it down. But apart from that, it's absolutely killer. And I think that's the reason why I've maybe taken a couple of marks off. Funnily, it's the songs that people might know the most. That's the reason I've taken marks off this album, is because I don't think they stand up to what's on the rest of the album. But let me know in the comments below, what is your opinion of Asia's debut album from 1982? Are you a fan? Maybe you don't like prog rock, but maybe this is one you do like, or maybe you don't like prog rock at all. I would love to hear in the comments below what your opinion on this album is. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, and if you could also subscribe, really helps out the channel and I greatly appreciate it. And I will talk to you on the next one. Bye for now.